Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we'll be taking a look at Ultra Class Rocket Roar Grimlock from Transformers Cyberverse. I'm kind of having a weird love-hate relationship with this line so far. I've been watching videos online and the Scout class and the Warrior class just really don't look that great to me. I saw a couple of one-step changers today. They look to be like the exact same one-step changers from the Robots in Disguise line, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I really couldn't see anything different with them. Looking at them in hand, they really looked exactly the same as Robots in Disguise one-step changers, so I passed on those as well. The Leader class and the Ultra class look decent to me. So I got the Prime and the Megatron from the Leader class. We'll be taking a look at them later on this week. But I'm going to start here with Grimlock. So you can see it's kind of an open packaging here. Still tied down. Can't really move them around in the packaging, but not the typical box that we're used to. And I think these are really meant to appeal to younger children. So it kind of makes sense. Similar to how like Imaginext and Play School Toys have that open packaging to kind of invite kids to check it out, to get close and take a closer look. Looking at the back of the packaging, you can see there's also a Bumblebee and a Starscream. They did have both of these at the store, but the Bumblebee has way too much back kibble for me, and the Starscream, those giant like thrusters, I just wasn't a fan of, so I decided to pass on both of those. But I thought the Grimlock here looked pretty decent. Nice paint applications, if nothing else. It says it takes 14 steps, so I feel like that's fairly comparable to like the old Warrior class from Robots in Disguise, so I'm kind of thinking that this might be closer to that, whereas the current Warrior class for Cyberverse is maybe a little bit lesser, so it feels like they kind of moved everything up a class to create a new Scout class. I don't know. In any case, I thought the Grimlock looked pretty decent, so I decided to pick him up, give him a shot, try to see if we can salvage some of this line. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, get this guy out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. Alright, so here is Grimlock out of the packaging. I will say right off the bat, he's got a lot of really nice paint applications. I feel like he looks really good, and I like that. Unfortunately, he does have some major dino kibble just hanging off his butt. It's not a huge problem, but that's mostly because he doesn't really have a ton of articulation. The head cannot move at all. You have a ball joint in the shoulder, but it's really tight and seems a little limited, but you can move it around. You have a hinge here in the elbow, but no bicep swivel, and then the wrists don't move at all. They just kind of fold back in as part of the transformation. You also have a ball joint in the hip, as you can see. No thigh swivel, no knee bend. And that's because of the transformation, which you'll see in a little bit. I will say I really like the head sculpt. I think it looks really good. Now, on the box, and I'll bring this back in for a second, you can see that he has no faceplate. He has a mouth there, which I always think for Grimlock is weird. But I appreciate on the toy he has the faceplate. So, no weird mouth on the toy, so that's excellent. And I really love the bright red Autobot symbol there on his chest. I think all this kind of yellowish mustard gold paint works. He's got paint here for the feet. He's got some red paint here. He's got black. The head is very nicely painted. Some red there on the abdomen. All these colors here on his shins. Not a ton going on the back, but I feel like it doesn't really need it. So not a ton of articulation. He mostly just kind of stands there. But I think, you know, in stature, he looks good. I really do like the aesthetic of him. It's a very basic toy, and when these things clock in at $19.99, that does seem like a bit much. I feel like $15. This kind of reminds me almost like the three-step changers that they used to do that were real big. I mean, this guy's definitely big. Here is Blastoff, Deluxe Class Blastoff, for a size comparison. He's definitely large, and I really like this scale, because I always felt like the Dinobots on the original G1 cartoon were in this kind of scale to the normal Autobots. Like, they were bigger. Like, Grimlock was always even bigger than Optimus Prime. He was kind of almost Prime's height, but he was even still a little bit taller than Optimus. So, I really like this scale. I think that works really well for that. But yeah, definitely just kind of getting back into the robot mode. Aesthetically, I like it. I mean, sure, I wish it had more articulation, but I think this line really is targeted towards younger kids. This to me feels like kids who just finished with Rescue Bots and are looking for a little bit more of a challenge. That's kind of what Cyberverse is. I feel like it's kind of the next block. Like, you're not quite up to, you know, the old Robots in Disguise or Generations yet, but Cyberverse is kind of your stepping stone. So, definitely not a ton of articulation, but I really do love the aesthetic of the robot mode. I think it looks great. Even with the dino kibble hanging off the back, it does kind of blend decently into the background, like between his legs, and it doesn't look so ridiculously brickish like that Bumblebee I saw in the back of the packaging, who had like all that kibble just hanging off his back all the time. He's just got a real, it's almost like he just has a tail. So it's not ridiculously terrible, like, to have that kibble on the back. And especially since you're not really going to put him in too many poses because of the amount of articulation he has. He's just going to kind of stand here like this. It almost kind of blends into the background. You don't see it that much. So love the paint scheme. Love the head sculpt. Let's go ahead and get into the Dino Transformation. So I have to say, the packaging says 14 steps. I think that's generous. Some of the stuff, you know, move the arm, they count as one step. Now fold down the arm as the second step. It's not really complete steps to me. It's a very basic transformation. You can start by folding in the fists. They just fold around the side, just like that. You're going to bring this chest part down. You're going to fold the entire head / neck of the dinosaur 180 degrees. And then you're going to see these tabs right here will peg in right there and there. So you just go ahead and you peg that in. And then you have your dino. You can bring your little dino hands down. At this point, you're just going to kind of position the feet however you like. Then you're going to come around to this section. You can see the tail is pretty much already in here, so you're going to just fold these out to the side. And they do tab in very nicely. You can see there's 2 tabs right here, and it's going to be hard to see because it's dark, but you can see there's 2 tab holes right there. So everything fits together pretty solidly, I will say that. So you peg the 2 parts of the tail together, and then you're just going to rotate this 180 degrees, and then you're going to fold them up. Now you'll see that there is a tab in there, and that's going to tab in, let me get closer here. This tab here is going to tab into there, and then this tab here is going to tab into there. So you just kind of bring these up, and you kind of want to do it at the same time because they do also sandwich together. You can see these tabs on the side. So you just kind of bring these in, and everything sandwiches together and really locks into place pretty easily and very snugly, which I do appreciate. So at this point, you're going to fold this little part that was the foot down, and you can see the little tab and the little tab spot that that's going to go into. And then you can see that there's another little tab and tab spot, but you don't want to fold this one all the way down just yet. So we'll just kind of put it at about there. So here is Grimlock's Dino Mode. And I have to say, it's not bad. I wish you could angle the head down a little bit, but you'll see why you can't in a minute. You can, however, if you want to just bend, oops, or apparently you can just pop the ball joints completely. I mean, you can see that's a massive ball joint. I mean, these things are not going to break easily. You just pop it right back on there, and they're just meant for kids to really wear and tear on these things, I think. So if you want to, you know, put it so his head is kind of more at the right angle, you can certainly do that. But in this mode, you have basically the same articulation that you had in the arms. You have the ball joint here, and you have this bend for his kind of reverse knee at this point. And then you can see you have the tail here. Now, the reason you have not pushed this down all the way is because when you do, it activates the gimmick, which is the rocket roar. And you can see he has kind of a jet of flame that shoots out of his neck, which is also why his head has to stay aligned the whole time. And he's got some flames that pop out of his neck. It's a little goofy, but I kind of like it. I think it works. I love the blue eyes. I think that really is nicely painted there on the head. Whoops, light balance is getting a little weird on me. But I think the eyes really look great there. And if you just go ahead and all you do is push this back in, it'll click into place, and then you just lift that back off. And then whenever you push it in, He shoots out that fire. So it does seem like this line is very gimmick intensive. And again, I think that's because it appeals to younger children. I think that's something that they will enjoy. You do also have ball joints here in the little T-Rex hands. So, but yeah, you can either go kind of old school T-Rex and have the tail drag if you like, but then the head's going to always be on this angle, or you kind of bend the legs a little bit so that he's more like current T-Rex where they keep the tail in the air and then the head's kind of aligned. So I think he looks all right. Again, I get it, you know. I think if you just really take into consideration that this line is not meant for adult collectors, if you're a hardcore adult collector and you're thinking this looks like a really basic toy, you're right, it is. And I can see how a lot of adult collectors are going to almost completely pass on the Cyberverse line. I think it's going to be one of those ones where you pick up one or two pieces that look interesting to you, or if you have a kid you want to share it with. But if you're solely an adult collector and you have no children and you're, you know, buying these for yourself, you're probably going to end up passing on most of the Cyberverse line, because I really do feel like it is 100% aimed at younger children. It's very gimmick intensive. It's definitely very basic transformations, but I think there is some fun to be had here. I mean, I'm kind of getting a kick out of this crazy fire rocket thing going on here. I think there's definitely fun to be had with that. And I think, you know, they're built very solid. I really do feel like with these Ultras, I've heard some other reports. It's so solid I can't even untransform it. I've heard some reports of these Scouts and the Warrior class kind of feeling a little cheap. So that's definitely probably something you want to be a little cautious of. But I will say that this Ultra feels very solid. It definitely pegs together very snugly. And it feels very solid when you have it transformed. Like I showed you those giant ball joints. You know, yes, it can pop off from time to time, but it pops right back on. They're heavy duty. I don't think that that ball joint is going to snap anytime soon. So you should have no problem just putting it back on. And the transformations are very quick. Just a few steps. It says 14, but I really don't think it's 14 steps. Because you can kind of complete 2 or 3 at the same time just in one fluid motion. So, again, I definitely think Cyberverse is going to be one of those lines where if 1 or 2 appeals to you aesthetically or you just think they're fun, you're going to pick them up, but adult collectors are probably mostly going to stay away from this line. I have 1 or 2 more that I got. I got the Leader class, Optimus and Megatron, as I said earlier, so I will take a look at those later this week. I thought they looked kind of fun, and I've seen some videos online where I think they look kind of fun. But the Scout and the Warrior class just seem very cheap to me, and I'm probably not going to be messing with them at all. I don't know about Legion class. I'm pretty sure they're bringing Legion class back. The old Legends, now Legions. They might be calling it Legends again. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But some of those like kind of basic transformations, if the price point is right, I might dive in and get a couple of those. But I think it's basically going to be kind of how I feel about the upcoming Bumblebee movie line as well. Either the very low end, just for fun, or the very high end of the size classes, because that's where the quality is. So those kind of middle of the road size classes I think are going to be where you're going to be getting the cheapest figures that just aren't really that great. So let me know what you guys think about Ultra Grimlock here. Rocket Roar Ultra Class Grimlock from Transformers Cyberverse. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching.